Welcome to Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard. It's my pleasure to be here with you today at WJZZ, the coolest station in the world as well as the nation. You can watch us, listen to us, subscribe to us, comment on any and all social media. I'm tongue tied today. Social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, etc. So hopefully you're all here today. Let me take these glasses off so it won't look so dark in here. And you can tune in and watch us. We have a great guest coming today. He's just minutes out. His name is Mr. Malik Shabazz, and I will talk about him when he gets here. But before we begin with Malik, I'd like to sort of bring us up to date on what I call hot topics. Of course, the hottest topic this week is what happened last Sunday with Chris Rock when he was slapped by our Academy Award winner for Best Actor, with Mr. Will Smith, because he was offended by a joke that he made comparing his wife to G.I. Jane. Now, I've read all of the comments concerning this. It's very interesting to me. Many women feel that it was an act of chivalry, if you will, to take up for his wife and show his outrage that men don't do that anymore. On the other hand, as you know, the Los Angeles Police Department visited Chris Rock and asked him did he want to press charges, and of course because he is the gentleman in this scenario, said he did not want to press charges. However, personally, I think his lawyer should contact him and indicate, Mr. Will Smith, and indicate to him that he needs some money. It was, even if he doesn't want to press charges criminally, clearly it was a civil assault. It was, in my view, an unprovoked civil assault. And Will Smith ought to just pony up $1 million to Chris Rock because of what he did, because of the insult. There are a few things you can't do to a person, or at least to me, let's say, and most people. One, of course, is that you don't ever put your hands in my face. A slap is an open hand slap, or a punch with a fist is an insult of the highest order. And I will not allow you to insult me that way, or anyone, quite frankly, that I'm with. The other thing that you can't do to me, even if you were the Pope, is spit in my face. So those two things are like way over the line for me, and they deserve, quite frankly, a counterattack. Either of those two things. So, of course, Chris Rock did not launch a counterattack on TV, which is great. I'm glad he didn't. I wouldn't want people to see two black guys out there scuffling at the Academy Awards, making it look like it was a sort of a ghetto kind of interaction. But I do think that Will Smith should pay, and he clearly has the $1 million. So that the quote slap heard around the world, in my opinion, should be the $1 million slap. So hopefully Chris Rock is listening, or his lawyers or his people that are around him are, and that very quiet call should be made. It doesn't have to be public, but that check should be delivered. So I'm glad that, that obviously Chris Rock is one of the best comedians in the world, quite frankly, and I enjoy him immensely because he's so quick-witted and he's so very, very smart. So, Chris, I'm a lawyer. Listen to your lawyer. I'm licensed in 5 states. So please, please, please have that call made, collect that check, and then just keep it moving. But I don't agree. I do agree that you don't put another black man in the criminal justice system unless it's absolutely necessary. Now, with respect to you, Will Smith, in addition to ponying up to $1 million, I think that that you need, quite frankly, a checkup from the neck up. I am not impressed that this was an act of chivalry on your part. Not at all. I think it was ridiculous. He compared your wife to G.I. Jane, i.e. Demi Moore. One of the most beautiful women in the world. I loved that movie. She was outstanding in it. I don't know if anyone remembers, and then if you have, you can pull it up, obviously, at home because you can watch it now for free. She did an outstanding job in that role. And what I remember most about it, quite frankly, is when she put her arm behind her back and did that one-arm push-up. She had shaved her head bald because she didn't want the distraction of hair as she attempted to be a Marine. She was convincing the world that a woman could be a Marine. So she had no cute look, no hair, and she did those one-arm push-ups, a very, very difficult thing to do. So I'm proud of what Demi Moore did, not to mention the fact she was incredibly beautiful with a bald head, just like his wife is. I mean, I'm not a bald head person, aficionado. I too have alopecia. I understand it. It's called, and in black women, it's very common. It's called frontal alopecia, and of course, it goes throughout your entire scalp. And all it means is that you permanently lose your hair. It's permanent. I don't know if Jada has really lost her hair because she has this like shadow over her head, so she may be using that pomade stuff that makes your head look like it has hair when it doesn't have hair. But the bottom line is that she has a nice head. It's not a head with a point or a bump in the back or anything like that. And she's a lovely woman. Therefore, it has not taken away from her, nor has it affected her celebrity. So to me, being compared to Demi Moore, who did this, 20 years ago, when she shaved her head bald and played G.I. Jane, is quite frankly a compliment. It was not in any way, an insult. So, therefore, once again, I think that Will Smith should just quietly pony up the $1 million. Obviously, he's apologized, but he, in my opinion, needs to apologize more sincerely, and get with the program. I've just been joined by my guest, the very, very handsome and distinguished Malik Shabazz, founder of the Detroit New Black Panther Nation and the new Marcus Garvey Nation. Hello, Malik. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Man, you're just fine as wine in the summertime, and I love the colors.
Well, thank you.
All power to the people. Is
That's
that what
right.
Okay, all power to the people. With the Black Panther.
Yeah.
I like that. Incidentally, on the subject of Black Panther, there's going to be a new Black Panther movie coming out in September.
That's good.
Yeah, so I don't know who's going to play. Well, obviously, we've still got Michael B. Jordan, and we've got so many other actors and actresses that were in that show.
Classic.
So, yeah, so it's a great, great film. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I was listening to a broadcast yesterday, or the owner of Imagine Theater was on, and he was saying, he bought all the theaters, including the Birmingham, not the Palladium there in Birmingham, during COVID, when everybody was not coming to movies, not doing anything. He said he looked at it as an opportunity, and so he bought movie theaters here and everywhere else, and he's going to be, he's of course doing the Black Panther and everything else, and talks about the power of the theaters now, particularly with respect to the Marvel movies. Personally, and I want to know what you think about that, and then we're going to talk about you. What you think about that? I know people really like, Americans anyway, really like these movies with all of this, I call it pyrographics, just all kinds of media stuff going on,
Technology.
All technology, right. But I personally have more of a European approach. I like films that have a real man, woman, talking about real life situations and or history, or depicting, historic things and or things like that, or love stories, great love stories. But creating a movie on a screen of things that don't exist, of superpowers, etc., just is not something that I personally like. I just got finished watching. I binge watched it actually, The Gilded Age, which has received so much acclaim. I forgotten until I watched that movie how come all those great mansions were built on Arden Park and on Boston Boulevard and Chicago Boulevard, where you have the ballroom.
Beautiful
And these were built as part of that age, the Gilded Age, where people with money live super large, and as they say in the Gilded Age, a woman's role was, of course, to help her husband. Of course, they didn't have women's rights and stuff like that, but it was also, rich people did two things: they made money and they gave to charity. That's how you ran your life. That was what life was about, particularly for wives and women, and raise their family, of course. So that was what it was all about. So that's why we have the Kresge Mansion, the Fisher Mansion, all these great homes.
Beautiful homes.
Right. 50,000 square feet of a house, which is a supermarket, as you well know.
Yeah.
And so that was all part of the Gilded Age, the homes in Newport. And it made me think of Newport, because they talk about Newport in the Gilded Age, and those great mansions they built as their summer homes. These were the summer homes. This was not where they lived. They lived in New York and Boston and other places during the year, but in the summer, their families traveled to these 1 million square feet places that they had built as a sign of their wealth. So anyway, so I like that sort of, putting history in context. But in any event, we're here to talk about you and as the founder of the Detroit New Black Panther Nation and the Marcus Garvey movement. I think it would be great if you would be kind enough to inform our watchers today and the people who are viewing us about who Marcus Garvey was.
Well, Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Marcus Garvey,
Honorable, okay.
in my mind, is the greatest leader of the 20th century. Second to none. The Honorable Marcus Garvey laid out the foundation for Pan-Africanism, for black nationalism, for business principles, for self-defense. And his movement was global.
Where was he from?
Jamaica.
Jamaica, man.
Yeah, Jamaica.
Okay.
But he came here in 1914. He was originally coming here to meet Booker T. Washington, whom he admired and whom he was corresponding with. But Booker T. passed before Mr. Garvey could get here. So he came on anyway. And he left this country in chains, Mr. Garvey, because he was set up by Mr. Hoover, who at that time was the number 3 man in the FBI. It wasn't called the FBI, it had a different name, but it's the same thing. The organization that became the FBI.
Okay.
His assignment was to get Garvey, and he was told if he did, he'll run the organization, and he did. He hired the first black full-time FBI agent. If I remember correct, I think his name was James Jones, and he was assigned to, and others, but he became Mr. Garvey's best friend.
James Jones did?
Yes, getting
Really?
all his secrets, and Mr. Garvey talking about
But not his lover.
not his lover.
Okay.
But he wanted, Garvey talking about he wanted to kill himself because the weight of it all was too much. He didn't feel that he was up to this enormous work of literally trying to free a people. And again, it's not just a United States issue, it's a global issue of white supremacy. Back then and 100 years up from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, it's an issue of global white supremacy. and greed.
It's so interesting because the interesting thing about Jamaica, I didn't know he was from Jamaica. I thought he was from actually Liberia. It shows you, and this is so. That's why it's so valuable to talk to you. But get our facts straight, get our history straight. Every day is a Black History Day.
Amen.
For me. So we're gonna get it straight here today. But you've been to Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica. And it's my favorite island in the Caribbean. And I tell everybody, Aruba, this one, that one, I don't care about any of those. There's a mightiness to Jamaica. From the earth is super black and the grass is super green, and the land has character. It's not flat.
Right.
And like you said, I mean, there's something about it. There's a rhythm that Jamaica has that no other Caribbean island has, and you feel it the minute you get off the airplane and see the people and so forth. And of course, everybody is doing everything. Pilots, everything are all black. So you're like in a state of shock because you're so used to seeing white people in charge in America. And then when you get to Jamaica, when you see governments, restaurants, public buildings, all of industry, all controlled by people that are dark brown skin and smart. Oh my God. Super smart, intelligent people.
We are smart.
So thank you for telling me that about Marcus Garvey. So he came to meet him. He didn't have an opportunity to have this interaction with Booker T. Washington. And then what happened with him here?
Well,
I want you to tell us all.
He stayed.
Okay.
And,
so how long was he here before he left, as you say, in chains? And we'll get to that.
He came March 23, 1916 to the United States.
Okay.
And I don't remember when he was deported, the date, but it was 1927.
So he was only here 11 years, but made a tremendous impact.
The biggest organization ever. Millions of black folks. No Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, texting, cell phones, faxes, emails. The biggest organization. He laid the foundation for the Nation of Islam and for the Black Panther Party and for what Malcolm and others did and tried to do. He's the modern day father of black nationalism, Pan-Africanism. All black people belong to Africa in one way or another, need to unite, and that we need to do some things for ourselves. And also that we have the right to self-defense. The biggest convention in the world took place in August 1920 in New York. Over 25,000 black folks from across the planet gathered from August 1 to August 31. No coke, no rape, no murder, no robbery, no stealing somebody's watch. Black folks together for 31 days in peace, in harmony.
Men and women?
Men and women.
So women were included in this movement.
Women were included. And after, at this convention, a constitution was written up. The Declaration of Rights of Negro People of the World came up, was created, and in there they declared the right to self-determination wherever we domicile. They declared that Africa belonged to black people everywhere and that we're coming for Africa because not only is it our birthplace, but it's the birthplace of all humanity. And also, it's where the zinc and the iron ore and copper, cobalt, oil,
diamonds,
everything come from Africa.
Correct.
See, Africa is not a poor continent.
No.
The people have been made poor economically and poverty of spirit, kind of like us here.
Right.
But it's not a poor continent at all.
Absolutely not.
And Europe uses Africa to keep hegemony over the planet. So when you take back Africa or you take black Africa, it's not only spiritual, but it is practical. The materials in these microphones, in cameras, in cars and things comes from the motherland.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And having said that, the motherland for this station is WJZZ Cool TV,
All
the
right.
coolest station in the world and the nation. You can watch us, listen to us, subscribe to us on all social media platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. We're there, and you can watch this broadcast and report it in your own portfolio after we leave, because it's all going to be on the air. So
Okay.
having said that, again, ladies and gentlemen, my guest is the esteemed man with the baritone of the city of Detroit, Mr. Malik Shabazz, a bad brother. Having said that, okay, he's telling us right now about this man called Marcus Garvey. Ever since I've known Malik, which has been many years now, he has always been an aficionado, if you will, of Marcus Garvey. The only thing that I remember studying about Marcus Garvey was that he was into economics. I did not know that he was for black financial empowerment. And I guess he came around about the same time that Madam C.J. Walker and all these people that sort of were drinking his Kool-Aid, if you will. So that's what's in that. So to me, that's what he represented. There's never been a real film on him, or a documentary anyway that I've seen.
There've been some
that I've been aware.
documentaries,
Okay.
but
But I want to know this man. Was he a big man, little man?
he was a little man,
like you.
He was a little guy.
Okay, okay.
But I believe
But a
he
huge
was a good
brain.
man. Huge brain, huge heart. He loved our people. He wanted us to stand up. He declared the right to self-determination. He also declared the right to self-defense. Don't attack, but if you are attacked, then you deal with whomever attacks
So
you.
he was Malcolm before Malcolm, which is what you
He
were
was
saying earlier.
Malcolm before Malcolm.
Was he Dr. King also before Dr. King?
I would say so,
Okay.
because he wanted peace, and he wanted to get along with the races, and he wanted to get along with this nation. But here's the thing. We can't just pray our way out of it. We believe in prayer. I believe in prayer.
I know that.
I like to start off in prayer. But we have to pray and then do something. We need more education. Ain't no doubt. If there's anybody needs education, it's us. But we can't educate ourselves out of this. We need voting rights, and voting is essential and sacred. But you can't just vote. You know, we vote for Obama, and then we left him alone, and then the Tea Party, the tea baggers came in, and right wing, when we vote, we got to hold people accountable.
Correct.
We got to let them know what we want, what we need, and what we won't
Well,
accept.
we never did that with Obama. I tell everyone,
Right.
And I apologize to my audience if this offends you, but to me, Bill Clinton was still the first black president. He's the first president to have 4 blacks in his cabinet. You and I both know that's where the power is in terms of controlling billions, trillions of dollars through the cabinet. He had 4. George Bush had 3, and of course Obama had 1. That's unforgivable to me, because if I was the first woman president, how could I justify having 1 woman in my cabinet? It means I don't have confidence in women. I can't find women to do this job. I will never forgive Obama for that.
How could he not let Kwame, and this
Right, not even visit
not
him.
let Kwame out? No, he visited the jail.
No, but he didn't visit him. He didn't ever say
And
it.
he didn't let him
he knew
out.
it. But he knew him.
I know he knew him.
How could I know
And he
you,
didn't
Malik?
let him out.
How could I know
But
you?
POTUS Coochie Grabber let him out.
Right. Yeah, but how could I go to a jail? You have flown on Air Force One with me, etc., and I know you're there, and because I'm so afraid of what white folks might think, I'm not even going to speak to Malik Shabazz, a man that I know. It's just so it's so cowardly to me in every sense of the word, including what I said about the appointments in terms of his cabinet. I can't bend over that far. I can bend this way a little bit, but I can't bend over. And he just bent over. I mean, it was ridiculous. And And there was no precedent for. I mean, hell. I mean, even Nixon had one black person in his cabinet. So give me a break. But that's a whole separate issue. But so Marcus, and thank you so much for sharing your history about Marcus Garvey. You say he was deported. Why was he deported?
Well, he was.
Because he was not an American citizen.
Right,
He
and
never
the
became
government
a citizen.
was out to get him. Unfortunately,
On what? What were the trumped up charges?
Well, before we get to that,
Okay.
Unfortunately, most of our black leadership was against Garvey. Envy and jealousy, Woolley and Willetta Lynch. Now, I don't want to offend anybody, but tell the truth, shame the devil. Dr. Du Bois is actually Du Bois, but we say Du Bois. All good. A. Philip Randolph, James Weldon Johnson, Lift Every Voice and Sing. All of the black leadership at that time were jealous and envious of Mr. Garvey, were writing letters to the Attorney General and to Hoover that you've got to get Garvey. They're not listening to us, and they're like, don't worry, we're and all this is documented. We're working on him. Mr. Garvey was caught up on conspiracy to defraud through the mail. He had purchased some ships, and the ships were designed for not only repatriation to the motherland, but for import and export. But somebody in his group put out a postcard of a ship that he hadn't completely finished paying for yet. So they put it out there in the postcard, seeking donations, and Garvey ended up bearing the brunt of that.
You're kidding me.
No.
Something that minuscule. I mean, what he was doing was he was raising money to buy a ship.
Well, he had ships. He was buying more ships.
Right, that made sense.
Yeah, at one point he had 6.
Okay.
But the ships were sabotaged.
Ships to take
they were
people?
just like ships for cruise liners.
Okay,
and
to take people.
can carry items that are produced.
Okay.
He wanted import and export. Another thing Mr. Garvey was doing, people talk about him in Liberia, and he got betrayed by the people in Liberia too.
That's why I thought he was from.
His initial plan was to go to Liberia as a base starting off. But his plan was to get all of Africa. Get the French and the British and the Dutch.
Kick them out.
Spanish and the Portuguese and the World Bank and the IMF and the other MFs out of the motherland. Because, again, when they're mining the plutonium and the bauxite and the manganese and diamonds and cobalt and silver, that's our business. Right. They're mining it. They're getting rich. The multinationals, the other governments, the Rothschilds and others are getting rich. Cecil Rhodes, who Zimbabwe, Rhodesia was named after. They're getting filthy rich.
Correct.
And our people getting peanuts, kind of like it is
slavery.
Today. Slavery.
Yeah. Yes, it's just a slave system.
That's right.
With all the white folks at the top, all the black folks at the bottom. Which is what I call several things. I mean, but and I want to get to that in a minute about even politics in Detroit, because it's so important that we not be at the bottom and that only white people be at the top.
That's right.
Although everyone has to be evaluated based on their own merit. And I agree. As I was studying about you, I was reading about your position, of course, in favor of Mayor Duggan. And quite frankly, I agree with you. He is the best CEO Detroit has had in many, many, many years. That's what he does. He runs the city effectively and efficiently, and he holds people accountable. However, he does not have enough African Americans, although it has improved significantly, in positions of power or the people that have his ear. But I know you do. You can I can call him on my phone. You can call, but you can get. I mean,
Right.
you get instant access on the things that you think are important. Which leads me back to you, Mr.
And sometimes he actually does
Yeah.
my suggestions. And Mayor Mike, if you're out there, great, but a little bit more. See,
Right, we
something
need more.
about us black people is called need more and need more. We need more and we need more. But I do believe if I die tonight, and I don't want to, I'm not.
No, we're not doing that.
But I believe that he has been the best mayor at this time.
There's no
that
question.
we needed.
There's
That's
no
my
question.
view.
I
and
agree.
if people want to hate on me, and they do,
I know, and they hate on me too.
I take the heat.
I know they hate on me too, but for me, performance matters.
Right.
And as you just said, there's a before. As I say with myself, and even with you, Malik, I say there's a before Linda Bernard and after Linda Bernard, and the difference is clear, and the situation is far better. And before Malik Shabazz and after Malik Shabazz. Before you, we had no advocates in the community. We had nobody who cared about the homeless, nobody who cared about victims of crime. And now after you, we not only care about that, but we care about economic empowerment and a lot of other things. And with Mike Duggan, the before Mike Duggan and the after Mike Duggan is discernible, palpably different and improved. Yeah, and I've watched him work, and as I said, I only refer to him as the best CEO I've ever seen in government. And like, I mean, I've been, Malik, I've had like 3,500 hours of additional training at Harvard and Hofstra and Cornell and U of M and this and that and other, on all kinds of disciplines, but leadership is one of them. And I recognize it when I see it. And he has it.
He does.
He's got that. He
got
it on, and he's got it on lock.
He does.
Yeah, he's good at what he does.
He is a very talented person, and he puts in overtime. And one of the things I've always liked about Mike Duggan is that he will listen.
Yes.
Whether if he agrees, he will listen.
That's so important.
And I value that because we got so many leaders that will not listen.
Right. That only are interested in lights, camera, action, and don't really care. Where's the sound bite? He was here, he was there. But and he does what he says he's going to do.
Yeah.
He does what he says.
If he says it, he'll do it.
I remember meeting with you at your show. Why don't we plug your show right now, which is on the only black, other than this one, television network in the city. Why don't you tell us about it real quick?
WHBR.
That's correct.
R.J. Watkins, and we're there now. Our schedule is we're there 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. We have the Teachers Lounge. It's under our banner, though. That's pre-recorded. Then 8 to 10 a.m., yours truly. Then 11 a.m. to 12 p.m., we have Dr. Kafense. He does Black in the Day in the 313, but it's under my banner.
Okay.
And then Saturday night, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., I'm at 9, 10 a.m., the Superstation.
Okay, so you're battling it on all fronts.
Hey,
good for you. But the good part about you, the people talk about people who speak truth to power. That's important, but it's more important, I think, to speak truth all the time, and that's what you do, and that's what I try to do.
Yes,
I mean, if you ask me a straight question, you'll get a straight answer, and that's how you've always been, and you ain't scared. Which is wonderful. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about politics in terms of the leadership in Detroit. Of course, we have a new city council now, new ladies on the board, and of course one new gentleman that whose father you and I both worked with and respected greatly, and that's Coleman Young Jr.
Yes.
So how do you think that's going to make a difference in the city of Detroit?
I think it's already making a difference. I look at Mary Waters. I look at Angela Calloway. I look at young Coleman. I think it's making a difference. I think we're going to see more progressive policies coming from City Council. Clearly, Mayor Duggan has been moving more to the progressive end. We can see
Yes.
moving to the progressive end, the things he's been doing. His last campaign last year, he ran from the left, you know, and that's a good
When you
thing.
say from the left, what does that mean to the community?
It means, well, you have left wing, right wing. Now,
Correct.
far too often, if you're black, if you're brown, if you're poor, if you're poor, if you're a person of color, if you're a woman, far too often it turns out to be same wings, left, right on the same bird. But when I say left wing or to the left, I'm talking about being progressive, being pro people. As Tatum Eason, the late Tatum Eason used to say, and I add to it, Ike, Mike, Mary, LaShonda, Shaniqua. What about them? What about the poor? And so, with the movements that Duggan has been going more progressive and a new city council that is progressive, I'm looking for good things. But at the same time, we must hold the mayor accountable. We must
Absolutely.
hold the council accountable. And we must hold ourselves accountable. We have to be registered. We have to vote. We have to stay informed with council meetings, whether if we're watching on Zoom. Some of them it's on Zoom, others you can go to. But we have to be involved. We have to lobby. We have to say what we want, what we need, and again, what we won't accept. And that goes for Wayne County, that goes for Lansing, and that goes for Washington, D.C.
Well, again, let me take this really brief station break, and I'm going to come back and ask you one question that I'm really interested in hearing your response to. Again, this is WJZZ Cool TV, the coolest station in the world, as well as the
Black
nation.
owned.
That's correct. By Mr. Roger Pennsylvania, and he's all. People can listen to us right now in Africa and everywhere else around the world.
Praise God.
It's a global station, and obviously, as you well know, as a media personality yourself, a global opportunity for us. Please watch us, listen to us, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, everything that they have these days that is a social media platform. My guest is the very distinguished Mr. Malik Shabazz. He is the leader of the people in the city of Detroit. There's no question about it. He forms alliances with others, but he is the leader, not only in terms of his voice, which reminds me of my father, who had this James Earl Jones voice. This is CNN, just like you do. I mean, the timbre of your voice, but it's the, as what is it, Dr. King said, it's the content of your character, and you have led this way all forever, in the snow, in the rain, in the sleet. It doesn't matter. People matter to you. Humanity matters to you.
That's right.
And it is who you are and what you stand for. And it's why all of us in the city of Detroit bow down
Well, you're too
to you.
kind.
It's the truth. It is absolutely the truth. So, Detroit, you were talking about earlier about holding everyone accountable. Do you hold me as a police commissioner and the Detroit Police Commission accountable? And for what?
I try to. It's a whole lot of people to hold accountable. I try to. Yes. People can be friends, but I'm like this. Behind closed doors, I'll tell any man, any woman, what's on my heart. And you talk to people behind closed doors in manners that you don't in public. But if I have a relationship with somebody, I mean, I'll be honest. I don't think I gotta blast them if I can tell them behind closed doors. But they have to understand, because we're friends doesn't mean I'm not going to disagree with somebody on policy. It's an issue of policy. We should be able to debate policy all day long. Now, calling somebody out of their name or talking about somebody's wife or husband, if their wife or husband is not, stealing or something, raping children, I don't think that that's fair game. But yes, I try to hold everybody accountable. The police, and it's a balance. The right amount of praise, and you should give praise where praise is due.
Absolutely.
But the right amount of pressure to keep them moving.
Correct.
Because the ball has to keep going, Detroit Lions, to Detroit Lions. Because, see, that's real Detroit love when you love the Lions, and I do, to go to that goal line.
Correct.
We've got to keep going that way. Just like Mother Harriet Tubman said, we going north.
I heard that. Go north, young man. Go
Period.
north. Go
now,
north.
you either going north with us or you going to meet Jesus now. That's what she said.
I heard that.
Yes.
It's interesting as you were talking about family and so forth. You have a family as well.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us something about your family? People know you as a man, but they don't know you as a person. I mean, they know your leadership style and ability. Tell us about your family.
Well, I like to stand on my own, but we all come from somewhere. You have to honor the tree that gives you fruit. And so I have some great people in my family. David S. Holmes Jr., Avis Holmes, both of them.
David S. Tell people who David was now.
David was a state rep for many, many years. He went to the state senate.
First African American.
And he set up the Michigan Democratic Black Caucus. He set that up. Oftentimes, when young folks are sentenced and they don't go to prison, but they're allowed to get their GED or finish high school or enter into plumbing, trade, if they do that and they get their record wiped clean and they don't have to go to prison, that's named after my grandfather.
That's correct.
The home, I always get
Youthful
it wrong.
Training
Youthful
Act.
Training Act.
Yeah. IDA.
And James Craig Strong, before he would retire, when he would put young people under that, he'd make them do a report. He'd hold up the picture. You know this man? No, Judge. Well, you need to get to know him. Because he's the reason why your behind ain't going to prison.
Correct.
I want you to do a report on him.
That's
and
wonderful.
Be back here in 2 weeks. It can be handwritten or it can be typed. But I want you to tell me all about my friend because he's the reason why you're not going to jail.
I like that as part of the sentence, and thank you for sharing that with me.
Yes.
And I think that's something that everyone in 36th District Court, Recorder's Court, actually throughout the state ought to be required to do. It's part of that, quote, critical race theory that everybody's sort of objecting to now, but it's really just history. It's a real fact.
That's right.
It's not window dressing. It's a real fact. And that was your grandfather. So his blood runs in your veins.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you stand up and speak. I mean, he spoke when it was impossible to speak. He was a lone black man in the Senate. Only one.
Yeah.
And he did it. And he made it happen. He convinced his colleagues. He made it happen.
And he brought home the bacon to Detroit.
Yes.
And he overstood that politics, or as I call it, politricks, is horse trading.
It is horse trading.
Look, white folks, I'm going to help you to bring the bacon to your people today. Tomorrow, we're bringing the bacon to Detroit. Right. Black folks want to eat too.
Correct.
So everybody could be happy. And that's what we need in Lansing now.
I was getting ready to ask you that question. What do you think about all the African Americans and minorities that we have in the House and in the Senate today? What's your perception of the Black Caucus sitting in Lansing?
Well, I don't want to
truth to power.
Yeah, I don't want to be ugly, but and I'm not singling anyone out, but I wish they were stronger. I wish they had more oomph. I wish they overstood horse trading. But I also know that in moving out of Detroit, and I'm not attacking anybody, people can live where they want.
Correct.
That's one of the things we fought for. However, when we had over 1 million in population, not only did we have the juice in Lansing, but we had the juice in Washington, D.C. And we must get our numbers back up.
Population?
Population. Over 1 million. So that those floodgates can reopen again.
In terms of resources.
Resources. So
federal resources are based on the population numbers.
The census.
Correct.
And here you got activists, I won't name any names, telling people don't fill out the census. Well, they just want information on you and they just gonna steal our money. I mean, imagine that. Here I get paid every Friday and you waiting in the bushes and bust me in the head and rob me. Okay, the solution is to not get paid. No. Get paid.
Right.
Check the thief. When the thief leaps, you be ready for him.
Right.
But get your money.
Right.
We need to fill out the census like our lives depends on it because it's important. That's the money. That's the resources for daycare and this and that and police and fire and new textbooks and better roads. We need that money.
But it's not just the census. Isn't it also what you said earlier about voting? Only 18% of Detroiters voted in the mayoral election. 18%?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, just
we have
think
to
about
vote.
82% of the people did not vote.
We have to vote.
82%.
And we need
vote.
people to move back to Detroit, to take a second home in Detroit, to set up their business here. We got to get our numbers up. We got to, and that will strengthen our reps and senators in Lansing.
Yeah, we'll have more.
We'll have more. And we need to do away with the term limits. I disagree with term limits.
Okay.
Because, see, people made careers and people wielded power.
As a result of seniority.
Coleman Young. He didn't just become mayor. He was in Lansing.
Right, for
My
multiple
grandfather
terms.
took
for
his
multiple
seat
terms.
For multiple terms. You build power through time.
Well, it's just you do the same thing in marriage. I mean, I tell all women that.
Yeah,
I mean, they say they want a divorce. I say, well, why? Unless you have someone you want to marry, why get a divorce? Because marriage is a seniority game. If you're there at least 10 years
Right.
and you get half his pension, half his Social Security, I mean, you're cutting it down,
Yeah.
Even if he later decides to jet. And unless you want to get remarried, or unless you're being abused, of course, then there's really no reason to get a divorce. Let him live over there.
And no one should be abused.
No.
No one should accept
or accept it.
any abuse.
Right.
Or
be an abuser while we're on the subject.
And people need to keep their hands
in their pockets.
to themselves.
Right.
See?
All right, let's talk
Will
about that.
Smith, keep your hand. I understand you defended
No,
your
didn't.
wife.
I don't agree.
But that's not how you do it. See, let me tell you how you do it. You walk up there on stage. Nobody know you coming. Hey, Chris.
Yeah,
My wife is crying.
She wasn't,
Come on,
though.
bro.
She was laughing.
Well,
And
Come on,
wait
she's
a minute. Wait a minute.
And you walk off.
You missed my monologue before you came in. And she was being compared to G.I. Jane, Demi Moore. Actually, at that point, one of the most beautiful women in the world, who was in incredible shape. I was talking about that one scene where I don't know if you ever did this as a young man, where you could do a push-up with one hand behind your back. When that sister did that, without the body structure that you have, the upper body strength, I was impressed.
She's a beautiful woman.
But and that movie was a female empowerment film, and she cut off her hair so she wouldn't have the distraction of trying to compete with men with a ponytail, flip it, because she knew that would take away from her credibility as a so she took the same cut the men had in order to be a soldier and show she could do it, be a Marine. Which is an incredible achievement, but her whole physical conditioning, as is Jada Pinkett Smith, is incredible.
And she's a beautiful woman,
very beautiful woman,
with the hair,
well,
without the hair,
and has the same conditioning. So I didn't get it. I mean, it'd be different if Demi Moore was a
it's
slug.
Negro mess.
It is.
Negro
What
mess.
is wrong with people?
Willie Willetta Lynch. Who knows? Look, they got it's none of my business.
I don't care about that.
They got an open marriage.
I don't have
That's
a problem
their
with
business.
that. I don't have a
but
problem
the
with that.
thing is this: if you don't mind somebody having sex with your wife. I'm just saying,
That's
it's
correct.
not me.
She has a young boy.
But if you can have sex with your wife and you ain't fighting, why are you running up or walking up there, hitting this man, slapping this man about the hair thing? If he'd have walked up there and whispered, come on, man, give me a break. Give my wife a break. He'd have been a hero.
Right.
But you know who's the hero out of it?
Chris Rock. Right.
Chris
He
Rock
ruined
is
his
the hero.
moment. And I think Denzel said to him, you know, it's in your highest moment that the devil comes for you.
Amen.
And clearly the devil came for him because he blew it.
Right.
I mean, everybody was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, go
Right.
boy, you know. And now he's like, you know, a predator almost, you know. I mean, it makes no sense. But as I said earlier, and you didn't hear this part, I just think he needs to have Will Smith write that check for $1 million. I wouldn't prosecute a brother because I don't like putting people, black men, in the penal, in the criminal justice system and going through all that crap, handcuffs, all that, and put them in jail, or having a white, you know, judges and so forth opine. But I would get the money. See, because as I said earlier, there are only two things that are super insult. But if you slap me, I don't care if you're the Pope. You're going down. Or if you spit in my face, it's over. It's on and popping there. Because you don't violate me and violate my face. You don't spit on me and you don't slap me. No. You know, that was outrageous. And of course, as you said, Chris Rock was the bigger man.
Yes. He came out shining.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Oh, there's no
but
question.
Will could have
His tickets went up that night at the
$1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Will could have been a hero by just whispering.
I would agree if it was offensive to him.
Come on, brother. I got to go home with this woman, and she's upset. Come on, brother.
Yeah.
And turned and walked away.
He would have reversed everything in the next part of his monologue. In the next part of his monologue.
He'd been the hero.
Right. I mean, and now he's the scourge of the earth. He has really hurt himself. I couldn't believe it. I mean, but there's two things you can't do. I believe in that. But if a man slaps you, it's on and popping. Oh, heck no. And if he spits in your face, like that girl did with Cruz, with the football player in the elevator. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Remember? She was fussing at him. She thought he was hitting on a woman. So they're in the elevator, and he's in this corner. She goes over there messing with him. He goes to the other corner. She goes over there, fat mouth and goes to the back corner. And then she spits in his face. And it was just an automatic reaction. I didn't think he should have lost his job at all, quite frankly. Because I'm telling you, if the Pope spit in my face, I'd attack him immediately.
Well, people need to keep their hands to themselves.
Correct. That's what you started this conversation with.
That go for Putin, but it also go for this country.
Correct.
Because see, and as a human being, of course, we see the news stories. It is absolutely horrific.
What's happening in Ukraine is outrageous. That's why my nails are painted for Ukraine.
It's wrong. It's a shame before God.
It is.
But let me say this, and I'm just psychoanalyzing.
Thank you.
When Khrushchev and the former Soviet Union moving the nuclear missiles, into Cuba, JFK felt affronted and drew a line in the sand.
Correct.
And was prepared to go to war.
Correct.
With the collapse of the former Soviet Union,
total collapse,
most of those countries joined NATO. So Putin, the Russian government feels, I'm not justifying, it's war crimes, women, children, elderly, just seeking to hide from the bombs, and you know they're there. It is murder. Correct. But I'm explaining. Russia is being closed in by NATO, and Ukraine was next to up the bat to join NATO. So those are one of the reasons. He still shouldn't have done it, but I'm just explaining it. But while we care about that, and we should also look at Poland and Estonia and the Ukraine itself, how they're treating African students, how they're treating brown students.
Hold it now on that point. Not students. First of all, there, in my opinion, and we've got to go in like 2 seconds. There are rights and privileges of citizenship.
Right.
You are an American citizen. If the priority are the citizens of the United States, keep it stepping. But if you're not, if you're not a citizen, then that's a different story. So you're at the back of the line. black or white. Now, if they were doing this to Italian, if they were doing this based on
I ain't
race,
hear about that.
no. If they were doing
I
based
heard
on
about
race, it'd be
doing it to
different.
black people.
I know, but we're not citizens of Ukraine.
No.
So,
No.
and so, we got to get to the back. If you're a citizen, then you come to the front of the line. If you're not, then you don't.
But when they get to cross the border, I'm hearing that they're being put in detention camps.
Oh, that's outrageous.
Rather
in Poland and these other countries?
in Poland and Estonia, and they're taking their cell phones away while they're moving the whites in the hotels and things.
That would be the Italians and everybody. That's racism.
That's racism.
Okay. And on that note, and you just said it loud and proud.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Malik Shabazz, I want to thank you for being my guest today on Chop It Up with Attorney Linda Bernard. You're a great guest, a great leader, a great man.
Great host.
And ladies, fine. Have a great day.
Thank you.